Welcome to the Spiro Hangout, where we talk all things spearfishing, freediving and foraging. We're three guys from Devon in the UK who are excited to share some of the learnings from our spearfishing journey with you over the coming episodes. We bring in some special guests along the way to help spread some in-depth Spiro knowledge from some of the most experienced people in the scene. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm not sure what's happened to Anthony tonight. I don't know if he's going to join us or not, but it's just the two of us for the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's probably out there trying to get ahead of us there.
Yeah, for sure, because it's the final week, isn't it? Final week of the species competition as we're talking. I guess this episode will go out just as it finishes.
Yeah.
It's a bit tight.
It's, well, you want...
What, we like 2 points in between us or something?
I think it's 3 points. Yeah, you're 3 points ahead of me. Yeah. Yeah, well, let's see what happens, man. But talking about competitions, yeah, I actually won the Dorset Open.
Yeah, well done, mate. That was great, wasn't it? It was really nice. And thanks for inviting me along. It was really nice to get involved, even if it was at short notice.
No, yeah, man, it's cool. Those, it was a bit of a tricky day, wasn't it? I literally was spewing as I was shooting fish.
Yeah, it was a little bit rough out on the bill, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was more than I like to be out in, really. But you know, you don't win competitions like being back on the boat, do you?
No. So well done, mate. You stuck at it. I don't know if you caught your mullet after the sick or before the sick, but
no. Well,
maybe that was what brought it in.
I was actually really proud of myself because I shot the first one and I was like, right, I'm feeling really green now. Yeah. And then put that one on the boat, went around the other side, and then I thought, I'm getting too sick here. And I started being sick and I was like, right, I'm going back to the boat. No. Headed back for the boat. As I got to the boat, I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to get anywhere in this competition if I don't carry on. And I was like, so like something in my head just like switched. I was like, I've just got to keep on carrying. Like, I just got to do it. So I just swam past the boat straight towards the beach. Yeah. And then I thought, all right, let me have a dive here. And I literally was holding it in. And as I dove down, I saw the second mullet, which actually was a massive torpedo of a mullet. It was big, wasn't it? I saw it and I started vomiting as I shot the fish.
Yeah.
So yeah, to be honest, that's why I'm chuffed with winning it, mate. Because I was like, do you know what? I could have got back on the boat and not have won it, but yeah,
no, fair play, mate. I got third place, didn't I?
You did got third, mate.
My two was it flounder, wasn't it? And missed that place that would have.
And you won best sea treasure.
Yeah, it did. It's the first. It's kind of embarrassing. The first fishing competition I've won is because I found a mug on the bottom of the sea. I know what that makes me. Never mind.
It's all good, man. It's all good fun. That was a really cool competition. I really enjoyed that.
It was, yeah. And thanks to you guys at Dorset BSA.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That's one. It was awesome.
Yeah, and my first competition I won, man. So I'm over the moon with that one.
Yeah, congrats, buddy. Yeah, and since then, it gave me an ear infection. I'm not sure that was your puke in the water or what, but I've been out of action for a little while, so I haven't dived in a week and a half.
Oh, so. Yeah. None of us have been in the water for a while, have we? Plus, we missed out on diving with David Mellor.
Yeah, gutted. Yeah. And the weather's been rough anyway, so I don't think too many people have been diving at the moment, but fingers crossed for this weekend. We can get out. But yeah, as you say, we were supposed to see David on Friday, but we didn't because obviously I had an ear infection, couldn't dive. So instead we decided just to catch up for a quick podcast. So let's bring David in.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, David, great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Great to see you too.
Hey.
Happy to be here.
Welcome, David.
Last time the listeners heard from us, we were planning a trip to Vobsa on Friday, and unfortunately, I ended up with an ear infection, and we couldn't go. But still, really looking forward to doing that in the future. Hopefully,
did you get that from listening to the other two?
Feels like that sometimes, David. Yeah.
I won't take offence to that.
No, okay.
Yeah, well, we had to cancel, didn't we? I know what it's like having an infection and missing out. I felt too bad for Ben, so we had to postpone, didn't we?
Thanks, mate.
Well, yeah. It wouldn't be fair to
no.
No.
Yeah. We love having each other around anyway. It's friendly competition, who's going to do the best.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure that... Sorry, go on, David.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ben, you're my one of my students, so we would have done some secret work, and I would have made sure you went deeper.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not competitive anyway, so
no.
David, I'm sure most of our listeners know who you are, but just for the sake of those who don't, could you introduce yourself for everybody?
Okay, yeah. So I'm David Mellor. I'm a freediving instructor and spearfishing instructor and competitive freediver. I'm 59 years old, and I started freediving when I was 49. I was spearfishing.
Wow,
I was spearfishing. Yeah, I was spearfishing before, a long time before, but not really knowing what I was doing. And then I started competitive freediving at the age of 55.
No way.
So yeah, I mean, it just shows you anybody can do it, really.
Yeah, and you're not just taking part, are you? You're actually doing pretty well. I think, was it 3 national records in Turkey recently?
I did. Yeah, I got 3 Masters national records. So the Masters records are an age category of 50 and above.
Yeah.
But actually, the dives that I did would stand as national records anyway. Not even age related. But I want to be my goal is to be as far as I know, I don't know of a 60-year-old guy that's dived 100 meters. So my aim is to be the first 60-year-old man to dive 100 meters in the world. That's what I want to do next year. Yeah.
Where are you up to now? What's your personal best so far?
Well, I did 88 in the competition.
Wow.
But the thing is, I know because I was fresh on the surface and because I had air left in my mouth still, I knew that particular dive was good for kind of 94, 95. So if I can get back to that level again quite quickly, then I want to try and finish the year in the 90s. If I can finish in the 90s, that sets me up nicely for next year.
That's incredible. Wow. What do you do other than freediving? Or literally nothing.
No. I mean, in my former life, I had a precision engineering business.
Right. Okay.
And I had that for 24 years, I think. And I, as my freediving progressed, I just fell more and more in love with it. And I was going away for 5 or 6 times a year.
Yeah. And
of course, the business started suffering a little bit because, when you're self-employed and you have your own business, you need to keep on it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wasn't enjoying it. And I'd go away and I'd live this free life with a load of free divers, and it was just great. And I'd come back to the UK and then I'd have my factory, and it was just not what I wanted to do. And I didn't need the money. I've got 3 grown-up children. My ex-wife's remarried, so it's very easy to just look after myself, and that's what I decided to do, to sell the business and go full-time free diving and spearfishing.
That's awesome.
But I mean, my free diving has taken precedence. I mean, because I'm on this mission to reach 100 meters, and I love competing anyway. I come back in the summer to teach because I enjoy teaching, and to do some spearfishing myself because I enjoy it, but it's taken more of a backseat. And I know that I can always go back to it when I finish competing. I'm sure I'll enjoy the water and spearfish a lot more than I do now.
And you're saying that spearfishing actually came first before freediving?
Yeah. I was just on holiday. It is probably over 20 years ago now, maybe 25 years ago. And we were in Spain. I was with the family, and we were just walking around El Corte Inglés, the big Spanish supermarket. And they had an amazing spearfishing section.
In the supermarket?
Well, it's a department store.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can't imagine seeing that in John Lewis, can you?
no, right? Yeah. And of course, I looked at all the gear and I thought, oh my God, a spear gun. I'd love a spear gun. I didn't really know what, I just loved the thought of trying to hunt a fish. So I bought one and then, of course, took it to the local beach. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. But I always enjoyed holding my breath. When I was a kid, I would try and do a length underwater or a length and a bit, So I always enjoyed that. And then I got this spear gun and I went down the local beach and I just went out and I kind of speared the first fish that I saw. And I was like gutted once I did it because it wasn't an edible fish. I don't know why I did it. And then, like most probably newbies spear a fish that they shouldn't. And it got me thinking, okay, right, that was stupid. I need to make sure I do this properly. So anyway, the gun, I've still got it now, actually. It was a Spora Sub 550 or 500, a little short gun. It fitted in my suitcase and I managed to bring it home. And I've still got it now. And I used it for like when the viz is bad and hole fishing and stuff. But when I got back, I decided I want to do it more. But there was no kind of YouTube and there wasn't loads of people posting stuff. So trying to learn a little bit about spearfishing was really quite hard. So anyway, I was self-taught. I got a wetsuit that fitted badly and I didn't know what a low volume mask was. I didn't have a rubber weight belt. In fact, I took the belt off my jeans and I tied a load of fishing weights to the belt. Honestly, and I didn't care. I went down Diddle Door and I would like fish from the surface. And dive down occasionally, but I'd get scared. I mean, I think maybe it was 6 meters, but probably 4 meters. I'd feel mask squeeze because I didn't know you had to equalize your mask. And I mean, I shot fish, but not very often. But I still shot them, but me and my brother did that for years. We would just mess about, not really paying attention to what we were doing. And then one day, I just said to him, Graham, we are doing this wrong. There's got to be an easier way. And at that point, Emma Farrell was on TV doing this TV program about freediving.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh my God, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. So I signed up for the course 2 weeks later, and I did the 2 week. It was an SSI course at the time.
Okay.
And
they're like AIDA
I was the
equivalent.
only. It's the AIDA equivalent. Yeah. And I was the only one on our course because I had sinus problems and I couldn't equalize properly. And all the other guys on their course, they were all like high-fiving each other and looking at the plane. And I was like, oh my God, I love this, but I can't do it. And I kind of resigned myself to failing, being the only one on the course to fail. And they all said, oh, let's go on a deeper mark. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's all I need, isn't it? A deeper mark. I can't even get down to this one. But I don't know what happened. But the swim over to the deeper mark, my sinuses suddenly cleared. And I was able to dive. So I smashed out all of my depth requirements in the last like half an hour of the weekend. And and then, but everything after that made sense. My breath hold was doubled, my depth doubled.
Yeah.
And I was so hooked that I signed up for the level 2 course, which is like the equivalent of AIDA 3, which allows you to dive up to 30 meters. I was so hooked. I signed up for that for 2 months later. I did that. So, and once I did that, I couldn't stop. I was totally into it. And I think after, I went to Dahab to see, because I wanted to do my level 3, which took me up to 40 meters, but I wasn't sure if I was good enough. So I thought I'd go to Dahab because I saw some videos of people freediving there. And I thought I'd do a week's training just to say that I was ready to do the level 3. But actually, after a week, I think I was at 26 meters at Bobster. And then by the end of the week in Dahab, I was like at 43.
Wow.
Everything was like, blue water, clear, warm. It was great. It was great. But actually, it was quite good. Well, for me, it was good. I was diving all week, every day. with I think about 4 or 5 other people. And Emma's like a really good teacher. She taught me well, and I was actually the only diver that week that could dive every day, because all the others either hurt their ears, had a squeeze, or did all sorts of things, And it showed me the importance of keeping yourself safe and doing the right things, and not trying to progress too quick. Even though I was progressing, these other guys were trying to go. I ended up actually going deeper than all of them. They were like really competitive and pushing every day. Well, I was making nice, steady progress. And then, like I said, at the end of the week, I did 43 meters, where half of them couldn't get to 40, and they'd got all these injuries as well. So, it really got me thinking about how I dive and how I should progress.
What did you learn? Just going back a bit to the that first course with Emma. What did you change that allowed you to do more than the 4/6 meters that you were doing previously?
Well, okay. So I was hyperventing really, like, so much. It was so dangerous. Like, so dangerous. How I never had a bad accident, I'll never know. So I didn't know anything about correct weighting.
Right.
I didn't know about equalizing the mask. And of course, when you feel this tightness in your face and you don't know what it is, and then as soon as you let some air into the mask and it goes away, it like feels so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
And that was it. I learned that relaxation was, very important. And when you're on your own, you don't understand how to relax properly. So, being there with an instructor telling you how to do the right thing made a massive difference. So, it was a combination of things, really, but mainly the knowledge. And that's why, I think it's always good to take a course, because all the theory side, really, once you know it really puts your mind at ease. It takes all the guesswork out. Yeah. And you understand exactly what you're doing,
Yeah, and I guess we're quite, lucky right now that we've got all these YouTube resources and Facebook pages and clubs out there, but there's still nothing like a proper free.
No, but I mean that's great. All these forums that are out there now, I never had them when I was diving then.
Yeah,
and they are good. But the problem that I always find is that anybody new coming into the sport, either freediving or spearfishing, doesn't know what good advice is.
Yeah.
And so you'll get somebody who maybe has been diving, maybe quite successfully for years, but doing it their own way, is passing that knowledge on to somebody else. And because they see instant progress, maybe they think that's the right thing, And I've seen, so many spearos on my courses with really bad technique, really bad weighting, and people who have been diving for years and quite deep as well,
Yeah.
I feel like we're talking about someone like myself. I feel like that I'm the exact type of person you're talking about. But end of the day, that's why I think we all are at some stage. But I think that's why we create a podcast like this, just so we can get people like yourselves on, so we can get the right information out there. And that's what we found, didn't we, Ben? That there was like a huge void of information, especially in the UK, really, because it's such a small sport. And that's why it's like amazing to have that sort of fill that gap for everyone,
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
No, I think this podcast is amazing for that, because you're generally getting people on who know what they're talking about, and people will listen to. I've learned a few things as well. So
believe that not for a second.
Hey man, I learn all the time from spearfishing, but I'm gutted we missed out. We missed that day now, man, because who knows what depth we could have got to.
But we'll do it. Next year we'll do it. Yeah,
really definitely. It's I was actually hoping. Sorry, I was actually hoping to be the fattest person to reach 30 meters. That was the title I was going for.
I think you could be. I think you could do that. Actually, I mean, I don't know.
You're not that
Stand
big,
up,
mate.
I can't see you.
No, I'm not that big. No. But I mean, most freedivers are pretty skinny on there. But did you find, like, obviously? Now that you're diving, obviously, like extremely deep, but through your journey of getting to that depth, I don't know if you like much into blue water hunting. Did that sort of? Did you relate to that?
I did a little bit. I did a little bit of that. I went to Tanzania. And we went. There was a local spearfisherman there. Guy, he was a really good diver, actually, really good spearfisherman, I would say. His technique. It was funny again because he came on the freediving line with us, and his technique was terrible, but he had a really good breath hold. But actually, when you got him out with a spear gun, he was awesome. We got some really nice fish, some big wahoo, some Spanish mackerel.
Cool.
Nice.
But I got seasick. I'm not very good when it comes to boats. Yeah. Well, I'm a lot better now, but back then I wasn't so good. But yeah, it was quite nice. We we dropped the flopper down, the CDs on a disc, the flasher. And the viz is so good. And I remember actually, so the flasher's down. It's about 20 meters down. Yeah. And then the guy said, right, there's four of us. We're all 10 meters either side of the line, so we're always opposite each other. So if you go down, you're basically shooting around the flopper, and you can see the other people because the viz is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I remember being down, and I was lining up on a fish, thinking, no, I'm not going to take that one. It's a bit small. And then I saw this spearo, Dave, his name was. He speared this fish, right? And it looked small to me. And I thought, why has he speared that? That's way too small. Anyway, he went up, and I was still looking. I was still trying to line something up. Anyway, I didn't fire, and I came up to the surf, and by then he's got his pulling his fish up. And then I saw the size of it. once I got close, I was like, Jesus Christ, that fish never looked that big. It was massive, And then I realized that I was so far away from these fish trying to line them up. Yeah, I had to be way closer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of spearos in the UK sort of because of course we don't do a lot of blue water hunting here, do we at all? So it's interesting to sort of hear about these things because we travel abroad and go and do it. I mean, there's a trip that like some of us are looking at going to Azores, and we got to dive 20, 30 meters. And that sort of scares quite a few people because diving to 20, 30 meters, I mean, for me, it's achievable, but I've been to 25 before, but I don't feel like spearfishing at 25 is a whole different story. Yeah,
totally is. Yeah, I mean, I did those weekends with Max, and I have to say that I don't find it easy diving to 25, 30 meters spearfishing. It's not
really.
Maybe in blue water it's a lot easier because you can see things that you just feel more comfortable. Mm-hmm. But over here, it's not easy in the cold. For sure, it's not.
Right.
Yeah. But I would do a lot more. I mean, the good thing about what I do and the people I meet, in these competitions, you meet people from all over the world, and most freedivers spearfish. I mean, obviously, even actually, a lot of the vegetarians will say, "I'll eat a fish if I spear it."
Yeah.
And I've got a friend in Norway, and he's saying, "Oh, come over. We can do some halibut stuff." I've got friends in Lanzarote. We do, and it's so good that you meet all these people, and you've got an option of going anywhere. So I know when I finish the competitive freediving that I'm gonna have some pretty awesome trips around.
That's awesome.
To get some blue water fish. Yeah.
So touching on the what you're talking about there with Max diving down to wrecks and stuff. What do you just want to elaborate a bit on that? Because you guys were hosting a course together, weren't you, at some stage?
Yeah, we did. We did it last year and this year. And yeah, it's deeper. I mean, we changed it a little bit this year. So the first day was purely free diving, and it was just to get people comfortable at kind of 25, 30 meters. So we went out in the boat, and then we dropped the line down and made some nice progressions. And if I see, the divers are equalizing well and they're not stressed and they're looking quite good for it, we'll drop it. And if the viz is good, if all the conditions are good and we do the right thing, it's good. And so sure enough, I think one of the guys had a bit of sinus problems. But the other guys were good. They reached all the depths that we wanted to get to. and shot, fish deep as well. I think there was a couple of PB pollock and some decent bass. So yeah, it was good. It's obviously Max, when it comes to fish, I mean, he knows the lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll tell you everything about which side to approach the reef from, and where to drop you in, and yeah, I mean, if you couple that with some good diving ability, I mean, you're going to get fish. It's as simple as that, really.
Are there any things you do different when you're doing deeper spearfishing?
Well, I mean, I would say you definitely need to breathe up, and that's difficult because obviously if there's current, you're going to miss the reef if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So we put a marker down and try to stay around it. But Max knows where the reef is, even when we've drifted off it. I didn't really understand which side of the reef where the fish are, and but Max knows exactly where it is. So if you follow Max, you're gonna get that fish. If you follow me, you'll end up missing the reef but diving deeper.
Match made in heaven. Love it.
So win-win, yeah.
That's awesome. So like you said, obviously you got into free diving a lot later in life. I was actually talking to the boys a couple of episodes ago where I was saying that I'm really enjoying free diving aspect of it, and like that's something I want to pursue a lot. So someone such as myself, then, what would you recommend to get into free diving? Just do a couple of courses. From there, what do we do from there on?
Yeah, I think it's important to do the first 2 courses at least, because that will take you to 30 meters. And then, once you get to 30 meters, 35, you need to learn mouthfeel after that. Some people will say you don't need mouthfeel until you're much deeper. But I think that if you're diving in the UK in colder water, you stand less chance of getting injury if you learn to mouthfeel, because it's a much easier way to equalize. And that's what you need to learn anyway when you're going past 40 to 50 anyway, and then deeper. So for me, I think it's important to learn, mouthfeel, and they teach you that on either SSI level 3, AIDA 4, or RAID 3. But actually, I don't know. I think if you get the right coach, that money can be spent on good coaching. I mean, for instance, my personal belief is you would be better spending, I think maybe that kind of course is going to cost you $450 upwards, maybe. I think that you could go to Dahab or Cash, and if you find the right instructor, spend that money, and you will come away probably a better diver if you can stay for 2 weeks or something, than you would by doing like a 4-day course. Because the course is just aimed, it gives you the information that you need, but you're going to get that off the coach. You should get that off the coach anyway, but you'll be able to go into more detail without having to go through all the other stuff that probably most of it from the level 3 course,
Well, someone like myself who's been diving for, let's say, 5 years, I dived 25 meters, quite comfortable in the water, but obviously nowhere near freediver level, obviously, or competitive freedive level. So would I be better off going to like Dahab then for 2 weeks, as you say, and build it from there, rather than doing like beginner courses? I might not get too much wrong.
Yeah, but you can get assessment anyway. So let's say, if I was in Dahab or in Cash and you came over, and I would take a look at you diving. We'd go out on the line together, and I'd assess what your EQ is like, what your relaxation is like, what your technique is like. And if it all looks good, then I'll say, right, okay, we don't need to start at level 2 or even level 3. If you've been diving and everything looks good, we can start at, AIDA 4. So, and that goes for any instructor. You're allowed to do that.
Okay.
So, but if I see that technique's not good, equalization's not good, even though you can get to the depths, I would say, okay, no, we need to stop here, learn the theory, learn how you're going to stop yourself getting injured, getting barotraumas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why it's so important to get the right instructor, because, we have AIDA, we have Molchanovs, we have RAID, we have SSI, we have Paddy. And they're all, I'm not sure about Paddy, but all the others are like pretty good. and they're all kind of like basically the same. I think Molchanovs has introduced some new stuff, which I think is good. But it's the instructor at the end of the day. I know from myself. I was an instructor. I have been an instructor for nearly 10 years now, and it's only the last probably 2 years that I've learned how to teach equalization properly, because I did a separate course on how to teach equalization. And that's the problem. You don't, as an instructor, you're not taught to teach people how to equalize. And that's the thing I find with the courses, that you can book onto a course and you're destined to fail before you even go there, because you can't equalize.
Yeah.
And that's why I started the online EQ lessons before people came on my courses, because I found it's better value for money for them if they know how to equalize before they get there. And it's easier for me to teach, because then I can teach the skills, rather than just trying to kind of plaster over getting someone through a course. If they can't Frenzal, some people will learn it on the weekend, but majority won't. And even if they do, maybe they just make the requirements. They push their ears a little bit, trying to get to the requirement. And I don't think that's a good way to dive. I mean, I know that from my own personal diving as well. And so I think just finding the right instructor is key, and it doesn't really matter what agency you go with then.
Yeah, as you say, I've been one of your students, David. I did the online training before we did our course, and that was really good. That helped me get down to, I think it was like 10, 12 meters on the day, wasn't it? And it was a spearfishing course rather than an aided course, but it was brilliant. And then since I've had a few problems with equalizing, we caught up the other day, didn't we, on a call? And since I've been able to push it a bit further, so without a doubt, it helps to have someone to look at your technique, and because you can't really reflect on your own technique very well if you
if you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't. If you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what the faults are. So, and that's what I was trained to do. So, I can pretty much look at most people on a video call and see exactly what they're doing wrong. And the thing is, the way things are turning out at the moment is that people will do the first few exercises and then they'll see an improvement, then they don't come back to me, and then they're instead of getting stuck at 8 meters, then they're getting stuck at 12 or 14, and then they come back and I go, right, you should have finished all the exercises, right, and then your EQ will be great for 40 odd meters. But people get excited, and it's boring learning
that was
something.
Probably me.
Yeah, well, I'm the same as everybody. When I was trying to learn EQ, I didn't see the importance of it while I was learning. But now I know it's like the most important thing. And I'm working with a few athletes now to get them deeper with mouthfeel. And it's trying to convince them, first of all, how important all the dry exercises are to make it work. Do you think? I think I did a. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, do you think your eustachian tubes kind of like get harder or like change like the more you do it? Do you think it's like a muscle that you can exercise and you can improve over time?
Yeah, I totally think it's that with regular, and that's why the dry balloon exercises, doing the right balloon exercises. Like I think I wrote on one of the spearfishing pages about dry EQ and stuff, and where people don't dive through the winter, and then suddenly they want to go out in spring and struggle. There's no need to struggle, honestly. Like breath hold, you can do so much dry. You can hit the water like at a really good level, without going in the water for months.
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of proved that actually this year, because since January I was in the pool training, because I did the pool world championships in Burgas, and I only had 1 week in May to do some deep dives in Dahab, but the rest of the time was pool. And then I came back to the UK and was teaching through the summer, and then I went to the CMAS World Championships at the end of August. So the competition started the 3rd of October. So I basically had 4.5 weeks of depth training, and that was my whole depth training for the year.
Wow.
But I did lots of dry EQ. I didn't do any deep dives while I'm here because 25.
Yeah.
And my first dive was 65 meters, and it felt great. And I knew straight away that. And so within a week, I was plus 70 meters, and that's without doing any real deep dives that whole year. So I know that dry training, dry EQ, so important.
And just kind of going back to a comment earlier around the mouthfeel EQ. I don't know if everybody listeners will know what it is, but it's a bit like Frenzel, but with a mouthful of air, right? No,
kind of, yeah. So, no. So if we're talking about mouthfeel, so what you basically do, if you just Frenzel and you try and dive deep Frenzel, right?
Yeah.
As you dive down, your lungs are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And at around 30 meters, you're going to get residual volume, which is, your lungs are basically the smallest they're going to be. And it's very, very difficult to pull up air to Frenzel with at that point. And that's why if your Frenzel technique is not good, you won't even get to 30 meters. You'll get stuck at 10 or 12 or 15.
Yeah.
But if you have good Frenzel technique, maybe you'll get to 40, 45. But so what you need to do before that happens is around 15. I charge my mouth, so I fill my mouth up with air at 15 meters, and then I top it up again at 22. So because when I fill it, as I drop deeper, the volume in my mouth is going to get smaller. So I top it up for the final top up at 25. So my mouth is full of air at 25 meters. And then what you're trying to do then is keep your eustachian tubes open and just applying gentle pressure with your cheeks and your jaw. And as the volume goes down, finally, your cheeks are now compressed, your jaw is now closed, and then you just use the tongue in the T position, then the N position, and then the K position to really squeeze all the last bit of air out of your mouth. And that's what limits most deep divers, because what happens is maybe you get a contraction and then you can't hold the mouthfeel, or maybe you get the urge to swallow, so you swallow your mouthfeel. And at that point, that's it, the dive's over.
So the other thing I wanted to ask, so I think we've got like an idea of the technique, although obviously it's the kind of thing that you need to do in person and have a proper course on. I'm also interested in what you were saying earlier around it helps stop injuries. What kind of injuries will we be looking at if we're trying to Frenzel too deep or trying to push too hard?
So you can get like a lung squeeze or a trachea squeeze. Trachea squeeze, because you're trying to you've got all this pressure in your trachea, and when you're trying to squeeze air out, and this is where the lung problem can come as well, because to push air up. This is why Valsalva doesn't work, because Valsalva is like a push, right? You're pushing air from your stomach up into your mouth, whereas Frenzel, when you drop the tongue, it kind of sucks the air up. All right, but when you I'm
trying to do it. Obviously, no one can see me doing this. But
no, well, the easiest way is to say, look, you blow all the air out of your mouth, right? Yeah. And so you cannot blow any more air up, and then you just drop the tongue and you do the Frenzel motion, and you will keep bringing air up. And that shows that you can't physically push any more air up, because you blew all your air out. So look.
Yeah.
You can just carry on.
Yeah.
When you're trying to find air, I remember when I was struggling at first, and I think I was at around 25 meters, and I was like going, I was making this noise trying to push air up. And of course, then you tense your whole body, and as soon as you're putting tension in your body, and then you're looking then for where the line is, trying to equalize, and all this kind of stuff, it just can cause you lung squeeze or trachea squeeze. And that's like quite a typical thing that, maybe you can't equalize at 25, the line's at 30, So you look where the line is, so you stretch your neck, and then you try and equalize, and that's what gives you a trunk squeeze.
Yeah. Whereas with mouthful, you're just more relaxed, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it's still, you've still got to get it right. I mean, I still, it was still, when I was learning how to do mouthfeel properly, it was still always my block, and it always was my block. And in some ways, it kind of like, it was, in some ways, it's like a blessing, because my progression was slow. And so I never had a problem with the strength on my dives. I never had a problem with my breath hold.
Mm-hmm.
I would always come up really fresh from my dives because it was EQ that made me turn. But now my EQ's a lot better. Now I'm probably soon going to reach a point where maybe I have to do some more hypoxic training. I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, like, I was really fresh on 88, so I feel like, when you're dropping like a meter a second, basically. So if I'm going to go from 88 to 95, that's another 7 seconds down and another 7 seconds up. So 14 seconds. And I say to myself, can I hold my breath for another 14 seconds? Yeah, I can. I'm sure I can. So I know I can hold my breath that long. I had air in my mouth to EQ with. So to me, in my mind, that gives me the confidence to know that I can do 95 meters.
Brilliant. And your heart rate's slower as you go down, right? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, the pressure and your dive reflex will slow your heart rate down, as long as obviously you're not anxious about what's actually going on and how deep you are.
Yeah. Lots of competing things. Yeah, it'd be cool to go into the freediving thing a bit more, actually. I was going to ask you, so you had 3 national records, as we were saying earlier, and I think 2 silvers and a bronze as well, which we didn't mention. What are the different events in these competitions and how they work?
I mean, you have 4 pool disciplines, first of all. So static is one, where you just lie on the surface, hold your breath for as long as you can, and that's it. And obviously, that's usually your longest breath hold because you're motionless. Then you have a dynamic, which is swimming lengths under water with a monofin. And then you have also lengths underwater with bifins. And you have lengths underwater with no fins. So, dynamic is DYN. DYNB for bifins and DNF for dynamic no fins.
What's the difference between I know practically what's the difference between a bifin and a monofin? There's one or there's 2, but like, is one easier or can you go further with one?
Yeah, monofin is more efficient and quicker.
Okay.
So you'll find that the pool records in distance are with monofin, and depth records will be with monofin, although Croatian guy just broke the world record with a free immersion dive. So that's pulling down and pulling up on a rope.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure Alexei Molchanov will break that record again because he's no longer the deepest man on the planet.
But, just because he can.
Yeah, because he can. But he's not allowed to at the moment because the Russians are banned from competition. But so that's the pool disciplines. And then depth, you have constant weight, which is swimming down with a monofin. Constant weight bifins, obviously bifins. Constant weight no fins. And free immersion, like I said, is pulling down and pulling up on the line. So they're the 8 disciplines. You also have like variable weight, but these are not competition disciplines. Variable weight is where you hang on to a heavy weight and then you leave the weight at the bottom and then you come up. And you also have no limits, which is you go down on a weighted sled and then you open a valve for the balloon and that takes you to the surface. So they're not competition, although there are records for that, but they're not in competition.
And presumably they're the deepest that people go because you're no longer limited so much by breath hold.
Yeah, well, they're mainly like equalization exercises actually, because you're going down, you're usually head up as well, so it's easier to equalize. Right. And then, literally, you're not. It's almost like static while you equalize.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they can be fun. It's not really my thing, but
what is your thing? What's your favorite event?
Well, I kind of like. I mean, I like them all, but I decided I don't like pool. Actually, no. After I did the pool competition, I don't like pool. I don't like anything about the
why
pool.
Is that?
It's hard work. It's like, I mean, I mean, you're swimming lengths underwater, right? And I get contractions after the first 50 or 60 meters. And then if you like, I think I did a bifin dive 162 meters. So I'm getting contractions for 100 meters.
Yeah.
And it's not that pleasant. Yeah. Whereas depth, with depth, I didn't get a contraction until I'm most of the way up. Because you can go into free fall, you just relax, and it's like really pleasant actually.
Yeah.
And then you hit the bottom, you're thrilled because you got to the bottom, and then you start coming up, and then maybe contractions start, and then you just got. I just say to myself, well, I mean, okay, I'm going to be up way before I suffer all those contractions that I get in a pool.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like we say, mental game with free diving, and it's telling yourself all these mental things that'll help you and keep you calm.
What is it about free diving for you that just that does it for you? What is it? Because I know a lot of people sort of speak about it in a sense of it makes them just feel really calm and peaceful and almost zones them out. I mean, what is it does it for you?
I mean, all of those things, but I mean, I like the challenge to myself. I love competition. I love trying to, beat my previous PB. I love the lifestyle, everything around it, the people, competition especially. I love, I mean, trying to get national records, trying to get close to, I love the whole thing. I love the peace and when you do a really good dive and everything goes really well, it's like spearfishing. If you enjoy the dive and you get a fish as well, that's great. But if you enjoy the dive, then fine. I mean, I've done spearfishing dives where I've gone down and felt so good that I sit on the bottom and then I just watch the fish come in, and I sometimes I've not even shot them because I've kind of like enjoyed the dive so much. It's just really nice to see them, and actually, if you stay long enough and you see them being more curious and then coming in closer and closer, and I just sit there sometimes thinking, wow, this is really nice, and the same when I'm diving deep. I can really focus on my relaxation. I hear the lanyard going down the line. It's like the sound of a zip wire, and it's getting faster and faster, and the light's changing. The temperature's changing, and you're going deep, and it's like a bit of a thrill. But all the time you have to stay really calm. And then you hit the bottom, and then now all we have to do is stay really calm now and get to the top. And I like that challenge to myself. Yeah,
it's a crazy sport, isn't it? Where you're going deep, and the adrenaline's kicking in, but you've got to try and keep as calm and just as peaceful as possible.
I think that's why you enjoy it so much when you surface, because you had to hold it all back. Your excitement, you had to hold it all back, and until the end, and then finally when you reach the surface, you can let it all go.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's cool.
It's magical. Dave, I was going to ask you. You said about when you enter free fall. I guess that's all about getting the correct weighting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you weight? So, as I understand, and I guess there's lots of people who have different opinions here, but as a spearfisher, you're probably going to look to weight yourself to be neutral buoyancy around 10 meters, something like that, because that's about where you might be fishing. And that means that if you take your weight belt off, you're going to float pretty well and your head's going to be above the water. Is that true? Have I missed anything that might be worth pointing out?
I mean, spearfishing is a little bit different. I think, for sure, people weight themselves more, so they'll probably be neutral at maybe 8. I think that's probably acceptable if you're fishing in 8 meters of water. But I think the worry is when you're weighting yourself to be neutral at 5 or 6 or 4. I've even heard people. That's just it's just dangerous, and I really don't think it's worth it. There are ways, holding on to rocks and holding on to seaweed, and just don't expect to dive as long, because it isn't safe. If you're carrying that much weight to be neutral at 4 or 5 meters, it's not comfortable on the surface.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, it's easier to dive in 10 meters of water than it is in 5, because you can weight yourself properly, and then when you get down, you're floating, your weightlessness. I went with my brother scalloping during the summer, and when he got his weight belt out, I said, "Graham, you are well overweighted there." He said, "Oh no, don't worry." He said, "Oh, it's okay. I'm okay with it." I said, "Well, up to you," but I said, to me, you're carrying too much weight. Anyway, we were fishing in about 8 meters of water, and I had my weighting perfect, right? And so when I dived down, I was just literally hovering above, moving along really easily, picking scallops up, right? I'd come up with 4 or 5 at a time.
Yeah.
My brother would come up like 1 every now and again, because when he hit the bottom, he hit the bottom. And then as soon as he moved, all the silt and the mud came up, and he couldn't see where he was going, you know. And then afterwards he said, "Yeah, you were right." I said, "Well, of course I'm right. I mean,
you hope so, right?"
But, yeah.
How do you weight yourself for freediving then?
So it depends which discipline I'm doing. I'm usually neutral around about 14 or I mean, the only dive I have to be careful of is no fins, because all the others I know that I've got the strength to get up from whatever depth I'm doing. But I know with no fins, my issue is getting down, because diving no fins, your CO2 build-up's much quicker.
Yeah. So
it's the only dive I get contractions on, and trying to hold a mouthfeel with contractions is quite difficult. So what I try to do is weight myself enough that I can get down without too much effort, but also not too much that I can't get back up.
It's a fine balance.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. Yeah, I mean, so far it's okay, but I know I did. I did 58 in the competition, and I was fine.
Wow.
But my target is like to go deep in that 65 or maybe 70 one day. So I need to carry much less weight, and then learn how to equalize better with contractions.
That of all the disciplines you do, that scares me the most. So what some of them swim around the wrecks with no fin. Fins are like my safety thing. Like if a fin broke and I was down at 10 meters, I just totally. It's a really scary thing for me.
Oh mate, I've had that happen to me.
Have you?
One of my fins snapped. Yeah, we were diving. I just carried on.
Okay. Maybe it's not as scary as I anticipate, but I've tried to dive like without fins. Like sometimes you put your fins in the boat, and then like the boat's a little bit further away, and you're like trying to swim to it.
Yeah.
And you're kicking, and your feet don't really do a lot. I guess it's all about your hands when you're doing that discipline, is it?
Yeah, but feet as well. I mean, you do use your feet, and they do, if you have a good kick, then you will move.
Yeah.
To get up from that depth with just using your hands would definitely tire you out.
Right.
I can't imagine doing like no fins down to 50 odd meters. That's crazy. I mean, we did some no fins when we were at Vobs the last time. I think we were only going down like 12, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And that the one thing I noticed the most is like, obviously, because you say your CO2 build is a lot quicker. Yeah. My breath hold is rubbish as well, like compared to thin diving. So,
but it must be so much slower, like getting back up, like without fins. Or not? Maybe not.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing my courses, and obviously my technique wasn't so good. And I can remember doing my first arm pull and hardly moving on the line, thinking, "Oh dear,
right,
oh dear. This might go bad." And and then you're pulling, and obviously as the buoyancy comes back, you start to move a little bit more. But yeah, I mean that's the thing, to be quite deep with no equipment is a bit of a scary thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, and okay, so I need to do lots more repetitions of what I'm doing before I go deeper, and then maybe the anxiety of doing a deep dive and no fins goes away, because it is, out of all the disciplines, no doubt it's the most mentally challenging one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And just a quick question, obviously, because I say it's a quick question. I mean, it's the age-old question of, free diving and spearfishing are two different things, but does free diving really help people in spearfishing to keep safer? Now, I don't feel like there's anyone that's more qualified than you to answer this. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I get into Facebook arguments, don't I, about
that?
Yeah. But look, I was the person, right? I was hyperventilating. I was doing all sorts of things wrong. And then I did a course, and suddenly I was diving twice as deep, twice as long. So, it makes sense. If you learn the theory, you learn how to breathe properly, you learn good technique.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to improve your spearfishing. I would admit that I'm not the best spear fisherman, but I know I can catch a lot more fish than other people who are maybe better than me because I can hold my breath longer than them. And I think you learn more if you can stay down a little bit longer than average Joe. You're going to learn a little bit more about fish behavior. Now, I never understand how people just want to get in and they're trying to spear fish, and literally they're down and back up again, and you've got no time to think about what's actually going on. You're just got this urge to breathe, and you've got to get out of there,
Yeah.
And I think you enjoy it more if you know how to dive properly with good technique, and when you get down, you can actually, like I said to you earlier, about just sitting there sometimes and just taking it in, looking. You don't have to spearfish,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely two different things, and I'm never going to argue with that. For sure, there are some good spearfishermen out there. But I think for anyone new coming, I think you can ask most people who spearfish who have done a course probably will say, yeah, I would say the course has definitely made a bit of a difference to me. Yeah. And for newbies, it would make a massive difference,
Huge difference,
I always think it's like, I used to play a bit of golf, and the latest driver would come out, right? So you're going to pay £400 for a new driver that's going to drive the ball another 10 yards, okay? And people just upgrade their new driver every year, to get that extra 10 yards.
Yeah.
And I always think, if you spent £400 on lessons, right, you would 100% hit the ball 10 yards further.
So true.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with diving. I struggled for years. Me and my brother have struggled for years. And then I did a course, and suddenly I was hitting 20 meters, and what that does, we all know you don't have to dive deep to get fish. But, when I was diving 20 or 30 meters, it gives me the confidence when I'm diving 10 meters, that it's an easy dive. I don't have to really think about, oh my God, I'm 10 meters down. I can get down there and have bottom time,
Yeah, definitely. Since we've been doing this podcast, a really cool thing that's happened is we've learned a lot ourselves. And the one thing that I've taken, personally from the podcast, is that recovery breathing. I go in a habit, shall we say, of not doing it. And now, literally every time I'm forcing myself to regain that habit of doing recovery breaths after every single dive, because I just feel like it's going to make everything that much safer. The amount of stories you hear of guys who pass out, cello or blackout, all these different bits and pieces. And I just think to myself, how many of them are recovery breathing? When you look at people diving, 90% of them are not doing recovery breaths.
No. And you watching competition, right? And you see people hook breathing to recover. Yeah. How many of them can pull out of a samba by doing it?
Well, that's the point I'm saying. Yeah. So I feel like if you're by yourself and then something does happen, at least if you've done that recovery breath, you've got somewhat of a chance of mitigating the risk of actually dying.
Yeah. It's just creating a good habit. And I mean, as an example, when I did the pool competition in the summer in Burgas, on my static breath hold, I told the guy I want to do 6 minutes. I told my buddy I want to do 6 minutes. So I told him to start telling me the time after 4.5 minutes. Every 15 seconds, I want to know the time, right? So he gives me taps on my shoulder and I raise my finger to say I'm okay, right? And so every 15 seconds is happening. So now I'm hearing like 5 minutes, 5:15. I get to 5:30. And I've got loads of contractions, right? And it's really unpleasant. But I think, right, I can do this. And then he's like giving me the taps, right? And then I reach 6 minutes, right? And I'm feeling great. And he says to me, come up. And I'm like, come up? What do you mean come up? I feel great. And he said, come up. So I thought, okay, I'll come up. So I came up, right? And I did all my recovery breathing and I did my surface protocol, which you have to do in competition.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd done it, right? So I'm now looking at the judge. The judge is looking at me and I look at my buddy and I looked at him and I was waiting for him to say, right, do your surface protocol or not. And I looked at him and he wasn't saying anything. So I thought, I must have done it. Otherwise, he'd be telling me to do it. Because if I did it again, it could be a red card, see? So I just trusted that he knew that I'd done it, even though I hadn't. And sure enough, I did do it, but I had no memory of doing it. So I must have been so close to having
That just shows you like the good habits just save you, don't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane. Are you going to be running more courses next year? And if so, how can people find out about them, David?
Yeah, I will be. I mean, obviously, people can contact me on the Facebook. I do have a very simple website, apexapnea.com. I don't really follow it up much, but most of my stuff comes from recommendations or the Facebook stuff. I was actually. I when I was in Kaş in Turkey, I did the competition. After the competition, I had 2 students that wanted to do an AIDA 3 with me. They did AIDA 2 in Vobster with me, and they said, "Can we come to Kaş and do the course out there with you?" I said, "Yeah, sure, come."
That's pretty cool.
And they did. They came. We rented a really nice house, and we had the whole week there diving. It was so good, and it really got me thinking. Actually, I wouldn't mind actually doing that. And you know, the nice thing about Kaş is it's in Turkey. It's a beautiful town, and the food's great. The diving conditions are great, and you know, for anyone who's looking for a family holiday, definitely you could get away with bringing the wife and kids on that one.
I'll get my ticket in now then.
Yeah. I don't think your partners are going to be disappointed there, you know. Whereas Dahab's a little bit of a acquired taste, you know. So maybe you won't get away with that one. But Kaş for sure, yeah.
I'm not sure I'll get away with any, to be honest.
It got me thinking that maybe I should look at doing some
that's a great idea
as well.
Yeah, I know Anthony did his course with Emma Farrell in is it Tenerife or Lanzarote?
Tenerife.
Oh yeah. I was doing that with Emma first when I was first with Emma. They were good fun. Yeah, they were good fun. I enjoyed them, and you learn a lot, and you dive a lot. So like the students were. I was living in the same house, so basically we were talking free diving 24/7. You know, and you know it's fine. I'm happy with that because I want students to learn. So good.
Brilliant. I've got a couple of well, I thought we'd try and get some knowledge out there. I've got 2 questions, and you can tell me that there's just no way we're going to be able to explain this on the podcast. But I've got 2 questions. The first one is, how do you do the perfect duck dive?
The perfect duck dive? How do you do it?
Yeah. You just watch Anthony.
Well,
he is good. Probably not as good as David.
Stick 20 kilos of weight on. No, you should be able to duck dive with no weight at all. But look, you lay flat, right? The big mistake that a lot of people make is maybe they do a pre-equalization, and they do the pre-equalization, or they take their snorkel out. And when they do that, they generally drop their hands down instead of leaving them on the surface. Because when they drop them down, they're tempted to do an arm pull first of all, when really your arm pull should be the third thing you do. What you should do is lay flat. Once you've taken your snorkel out, you put your arms forward, lay flat, then bend from the waist, then lift your legs so you're vertical, and then you do the arm pull. Because it makes sense, right, to arm pull when you're vertical instead of when you're in an L shape, because it's more efficient. And actually, what will happen is if you really get good at that, getting vertical, so in other words, bending and lifting the legs up, when you do a strong arm pull, it'll be too much. You'll need to equalize. So what you end up doing is really tapering off your arm pull, because the idea of the arm pull is to just get your fins underwater. It's not to see if you can get 6 meters down with an arm pull, because you're going to hurt your ears by then.
When should you do your first equalization, apart from the one on the surface?
Yeah, the one on the surface. Well, soon as you've done the arm pull, one hand should go straight on the nose to equalize, and the other hand by your side to streamline yourself. And then it stays on the nose, and you should, like, in 10 meters of water, you should be equalizing 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
And obviously we've talked a lot about equalizing, haven't we? Obviously, I know you put it, Ben, what should people try if they're having problems with equalizing? I guess, is there like any specific things that people can do without reaching out to you or going on a course?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if you can't equalize, try and equalize before you get on anybody's course. Even if you've booked on with somebody, like, have a word with the instructor and say, look, I can't equalize, I'm struggling, or can you even look at my EQ? Because they're paying a lot of money for a course, right? 300 quid upwards. And if you can't equalize, it's going to really limit how much you learn.
Yeah.
So I would say, look, if you can't equalize, try and get some recommendations off your instructor. Maybe he's going to turn you to YouTube for some EQ videos, and they can be helpful if you understand them. If you don't, then, because I see some people need only a little bit of help with EQ, and some people really need a lot of help. And the people that really need a lot of help probably are not going to learn it on YouTube. Maybe there are a few that just need a few pointers. They're halfway there anyway. Maybe they'll be okay. But my recommendation would be, if you book onto anybody's course, make sure you can equalize before, because it's seriously going to limit what you can do.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Great advice.
We've got 8 minutes left, so we've got some quick fire questions.
Yep.
Right.
Should we go for them? So, competitive freediving or spearfishing? If you could only do one, which one would it be?
Well, I'm going to be the first man to do 100 meters in the world, right? At 60.
Yeah, that's got to be that,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Good one. The scariest moment you've had whilst diving, like yourself?
I was probably teaching you.
I do remember one moment when I was down there and you looked at me like, are you all right?
No. Okay, the scariest moment. I mean, I did a deep rescue on somebody. That was a bit scary, but they were okay. I tell you what was scary. I went to a trip, because before I was like competitive freediving, I like looking at stuff, manta rays and all that kind of stuff. And I went to Norway and dive with orcas.
Oh wow!
And so I was like, all morning we'd been in the water with these orcas, with pods coming by, big males, you know, swimming, like literally, like almost close enough to touch.
Right?
That's
incredible.
And then you're in the water and you're seeing this, right? And then in the afternoon, they allowed us to go on the sup boards, right? So I went on a sup board, and we were paddling out in the middle of this field. And then right in the distance, about 200 meters away, I saw 2 big male dorsal fins, right? And they were quite a way away. And then within, I don't know, a minute, one of them's come right up beside me. His dorsal fins like tall. I was kneeling down at the time, but his dorsal fins taller than me. and I could see him looking at me. And I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, I didn't realize when I was in the water they were that scary. Like, because all I could think about was that David Attenborough Blue Planet thing where the seal is on the ice. The three of them come in and do that. So I was waiting for the orcas to line up and put this wave on me.
Thankfully, they didn't.
Yeah. But that's probably like, it made me think about, wow, yeah.
Wow. And next question, what's your favorite eating fish?
Oh, my favorite eating fish. Well, I love it's not fish, but I love the brown meat in a crab. I just butter and toast that.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I would swap a big brown crab for any fish that I caught. Gladly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What's your favorite place to dive? Is that Turkey?
That was nice. Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised. I like Gili Trawangan. Off Bali. That's a nice place. I mean, nice guys, nice center. I mean, I'm going to Dominica in a week's time, and everybody tells me that's amazing. So maybe if you ask me that next week, I'll have a different answer. Yeah.
Nice.
But really, anywhere where it's blue, deep, calm. I mean, you can't complain, really. Yeah.
And we always ask our guests this: what item of gear couldn't you live without?
What couldn't I live without? Well, I would say it's a boring answer, but I would say my dive computer. That gives me so much information about how I'm diving, how long my hangs are, with my warm-ups, are they on point for the dive I want to do? My alarms that I have in my hood. That tell me when I take my mouthful and when I'm about to reach the bottom. Yeah, I couldn't do without the dive computer. Yeah.
What do you use? Oh, sorry, Rich. I was going to say,
sorry.
What do you use?
I have a Sunto D4F.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel pretty naked without a dive watch on now.
Definitely.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Even spearfishing, I just find it so important for surface time. I've been spearfishing, feeling good, done a dive, it might not be that long, but long enough, and been on the surface, and I'm like, right, I'm ready to go. And then I look at my watch, and it's like 50 seconds. I'm like, whoa, okay, hang on. Yeah, you need to breathe up a little bit more.
Definitely.
So yeah, definitely is a must-have piece of equipment.
Yeah, agree.
Cool.
What would if money were no object, what one thing would you buy for freediving / spearfishing?
Be a boat, right? I mean, it would
I think it's the same answer for everybody. I don't know why people are asking this question.
But I want a liverboard. I want a big.
Do you? Yeah. Like a yacht.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, fair enough.
David, thank you so much. It's been awesome to see you again. Sorry we couldn't make it Friday, but really. No,
exciting. We'll definitely do it though. We'll get it done next year for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be cool, man. Sorry, Anthony couldn't make it. He's probably out there bloody spearfishing, trying to get ahead of us in the competition.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for coming on, though, David.
Take care, mate.
Cool. Great. It's been great. Yeah. Take care of yourselves.
Cheers, David.
Cheers,
See
guys.
ya. Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh man, that was an awesome episode, dude.
So good. I can't believe that when did he say he started? Like 45?
45 or 49.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, like he's only been doing it like 10 years or so, and he's diving
45. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Oh, that's just amazing.
Actually, it's given me a bit of a kick up the arse, actually, that I needed. So
yeah, you fancy it?
Well, yeah, I do, because I said to you a couple episodes ago, didn't I, that I'm really getting into it, and I feel like there's something there, when you go to Vobster and you do those deep dives, like there's something to it,
I couldn't agree more, and I've not really dived as deep as you, but I really enjoy it. Like, I've got equalization problems aside, ear infections aside, like that feeling where you go like neutrally buoyant and you're just like hovering there. It's like it's just totally out of this world, isn't it?
It's amazing, eh? Yeah, and the thing is, like this is when I was saying before to David. The reason we do this podcast is also for our benefits. We learn so much.
Yeah.
I literally learned so much in that podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen back to it. It's really sad.
I'm going to listen to it like 10 times, man.
Yeah.
I learned so much just listening to him talk there, especially when he was saying about the one thing that resonated with me the most, actually, I'll tell you what, is when he said about the duck diving bit where he goes to you, obviously, you do your EQ and then you put your hands in a certain position. Everything he was talking about is me. That's exactly what I do. Yeah. So obviously I'm getting to the point where I'm putting myself down so hard with my hand movement that it's hurting my ears when I'm having to pop and like get that sort of first EQ out the way quickly because it's hurting. So that made so much sense when he was talking to me. But when he was saying about that, I just thought it felt like he was talking to me.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait to go and try it now.
Yeah, mate, I'm going to listen to this a few times, I think, before we get out again.
Yeah, good stuff. And what a nice guy. He's just super. Really love spending time with David. So he's certainly helped me out get over my problems. Hopefully for good. So
that's awesome.
Really, really good. So what's up over the coming week? It's as we said at the start, it's the final week of the species comp. So we're hoping to get out. You want to get a crab? I want to get a lobster.
I need 2 crabs. Yeah.
2 crabs. I need to pick up a lobsters as well. I need another mullet as well. I thought I'd caught 3 gold spot. Apparently I double uploaded. So,
naughty boy.
Well, I could have sworn I had 3, but clear as day, I clearly had uploaded the same thing. I think I had that problem where you clicked it and it didn't look like it was completed. Anyway, whatever. I'm 4 points behind because bloody gold spot didn't. Yeah. So I need to get out and get one of them. That's going to be hard work.
I might have to reach out to old friend the bearded Spiro, because he manages to find crabs left, right, and centre.
He managed to find 7 meters viz yesterday, and 3 hectic wins. So
I see he's been doing loads of his lobster and crab foraging courses, and they look pretty sick, man. It looked like people would be doing really well,
don't they? And did you see his pollock the other day as well?
Yeah, some really impressive pollocks.
Quite impressive,
not bollocks, pollocks. But we might have to reach out to him because he reckons you can find lobsters and crabs in like literally no viz there. So I might have to reach out to him.
Get practicing.
I need those 2 crabs before the end of Monday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, hopefully we can get out. As I say, if you're free on Friday, let me know. Because I guess we're coming towards the end of the season now, aren't we? Bass can spear until end of November, but it does get a bit quieter as the seas get colder.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's starting off already, isn't it? But still lots to be had out there. So, keep going out, keep doing it. And, like I saw a couple of newbies putting some Facebook posts up saying like, is it good time of year to still get out? Is there anything about? Just go for it, man.
Oh yeah,
just
too right.
Just get in and get in there. Like there's still fish about. There's still crabs, lobsters. Great time for crabs and lobsters because all the cubs dying off. So.
It's a great time to learn because if you can do it in the winter, doing it in the summer is going to be a bonus, right?
Both of you started just before winter, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And Anthony was like October, somewhere around there. I shot my first fish in August, so well, and we speared all winter, didn't we? As soon as there was a window, we were out there. We might have only lasted 2 or 3 hours.
2 hours,
and felt pretty cold afterwards, but it was totally worth it. So
it's all worth it.
I love winter spear fishing, and the seas are a bit clearer as well because you don't get all that like algae and that snot in the sea as well. So kind of looking forward to it in a way.
Yeah, definitely, man. And as we say, everything's winding down competition wise, but it's still a good time. Still good time to get out and just have fun,
Absolutely.
So,
mate.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Well,
sweet.
Job done.
Yeah, man. I'll catch you next
weekend.
Yeah, we don't know who we got coming up next week yet, but it's going to be a bit of a surprise, I think.
It's going to be a surprise for me as well because I ain't got a clue. Do you know?
Yeah, I've got something in the pipeline.
Okay, cool.
We'll talk about it afterwards. So we'll leave it as a surprise for the listening show.
Nice one.
Yeah, so man. I'll catch you in the next one, dude.
Catch you later.